Hey, familia, what's going on? This is Luis Rodriguez along with,
Yahir Vasquez.
and welcome to the fifth episode of Talking in Tri. In this episode, we'll get into the latest happenings with, of course, El Tri, kind of the new national team and LigaMX structure.
We'll also be talking about Mexican players out in Europe and Mexican players that were almost in Europe. And at the end of the show, we're gonna do a little snake draft, and we're gonna pick a five-a-side squad all time for the Mexico team.
All time. I like that. Well, let's get into it. The latest, big news, big news. And last time we talked about who our favorites were for the next El Tri coach. And as it looks like they settled on somebody, right? They're going with Diego Cocca, who is currently the coach of Tigres. And the season's very young, so a lot of bitter Tigres fans about that sudden departure. Because honestly, the name kind of came out of left field when for the longest time it was like, Almada was there all along. And then we talked about like Ambris and a little bit of Piojo Herrera, but for a while there, Piojo Herrera was really coming on. I
Jimmy
think he's
Lozano, like all these other
obviously you
names.
like
Yep.
Jimmy Lozano, but even Bielsa was making a lot of noise. But apparently was commanding something like $10 million. Like,
Again, we're not reporters. We don't know any of this. What I heard last time was that the Pachuca owner brought Bielsa. He was ready to sign. Everything was ironed out, and the Mexican Federation said no, get away. It wasn't the Mexican Federation. It was Televisa.
I mean, it could have been Televisa, but well, the way that the national team committee is now, it used to be all the owners of LigaMX. Yeah. Well, now it's restructured, and we just got, I believe, 5 ownership groups, we'll say. And although Pachuca's had a lot of success, it was kind of odd to me that they're not included in that. What we got Tijuana's owners, Grupo Caliente. We got, of course, América, Necaxa, which is, like Televisa, Chivas, Vergara, and Grupo Orlegui, which is like Santos and Atlas. And you put all that together, and it starts to make sense how Coca's name, first of all, came up, but also how they settled on that. And probably why Pachuca's group isn't involved, which is, man, it goes back to like the same, like you just always got to follow like people's interests and always got to follow the money.
Yeah, man. Pachuca's owners do a lot of they get under the skin of a lot of owners in Liga MX. I like the way they do things. They do things right. They do it through the academy. They produce, and they don't want that because they want their players to make the money. They want the Americas. They want all these players that they're part of the ownership to make it. But again, at this point, I don't really care who's the head coach of Mexico anymore.
Wow.
I really don't, because I don't think nothing's gonna change till the Mexican Federation changes. Because I'm starting to eat my words a lot about Tata Martino. Honestly, I'm starting to feel bad for the guy at this point.
Wow.
Like that's how much I flipped. The more I read about this, the more I think the Mexican Federation is in shambles. What they were talking about, where they did all this committee, and he came out here with PowerPoint and did all this cool stuff for the presentation. It sounded like, hey man, the ship is sinking. We need to plug some holes really quick. This is where we messed up. How do we fix it? It didn't feel like they try to brand it as, oh my God, it's innovation. We're doing this crazy stuff. Look at guys, we're changing. Really,
No.
They're fixing the mistakes they made decades ago because of money.
And are they really fixing it? I mean, they took away relegation before, and now it's like, we're going to look into getting rid of the relegation again. It's probably not going to happen. And then it's like they reduced the number of foreign players on a roster by 1.
Yep.
So it's like, oh, you get to field 1 extra Mexican player. And they might get rid of the repechaje, which is like the letting in 12 teams into the Liga instead of the 8, which, I mean, that's still a lot. But 12, that's 60% of the league. Like,
and then they want to do, honestly, I, as an MLS fan, as somebody that covers MLS as well, they're becoming the MLS. They're trying to become the MLS. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's smart because the MLS right now is succeeding in a lot of different ways that the Liga MX, not talent-wise. Liga MX is still a lot better competition, everything. but their financial structure, it's a lot more feasible, and it's a lot easier for teams to sell players because they're not going to be in debt if they sell the
It's
player for
easier.
less.
It's easier for MLS teams, yes, to sell players, but also because, and there's been criticism even of Mexican players directly of late that MLS is more willing and eager to sell off their players, while Mexican teams command a higher dollar, which a lot of that has to do with the high dollar power within LigaMX. LigaMX has some of the teams with like the biggest pockets in America. I'm talking about
In North
north to
America
south.
and South America and all that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, and again, you're right. The only reason I like that they're becoming the MLS is because of the financial structure they can get to help the players. It's not about, I don't care if your owner makes money. I really don't get too damn.
You don't care that, but they care, and they're the ones that are in charge.
Exactly. But if they're
FMF.
trying to become the MLS, it's a way to get the owner still some money, but also helping the players. It's a trickle, more of a trickle down effect than it is right now, because right now a lot of these players are getting shafted because they don't see the benefit of the player. They only see how they can make money. They're not looking at the players' best interest all the time.
Players are benefiting. There's a reason why Diego Lainez came back to Mexico and immediately could command millions of dollars.
But that's my other issue with this. That's Mexico's federation's fault. And it's their fault because they made these Mexican players soft. And I'm going to use the S word. Mexican players are soft. If you want to succeed, if you want to go out there and be great, you'll be great. Diego Lainez is not great because of his own doing, not because of the talent he has. He doesn't have the right mentality because it was not instilled in him as a young player. And that's something from the academy. That's not something just from him. That's something that comes from who's teaching you and how you're being taught.
Yes and no. I mean, he was. I'm not gonna say use him in past tense. He's still a great player. He still can be. He's super young. He still can do a lot of things. But overall, and it's pretty appropriate. I wore my Club de Cuervos jersey today, right? Because that was a really good, funny show, on the streaming platform.
The original Ted Lasso, the rated R Ted Lasso.
I don't know, rated R Ted Lasso, but it's hilarious. But it's a lot of comedy behind like the inner workings of how the Mexican league / Mexican football in general operates. And let's jump back to Diego Cocca real quick, right? So, like I said, these group of 5 owners now oversee the committee, and coincidentally, Diego Cocca coached for 2 of those owners previously. He won titles with Atlas, who were owned by Grupo Orlegui, which is Alejandro Iraragorri. And then he coached at Tijuana for a little while, which is where Grupo Caliente is the owner.
Didn't he coach in Santos too?
He coached at Santos too,
2011.
which is also Grupo Orlegui, Iraragorri. Also, and like it's just like, dude, it's just like so.
It's a boys' club.
I mean, and then like I found out that Cocca's agent is an investor in Caliente Sports. It's like, dude, like, por eso estamos como estamos. That's why we are where we are, because it's just like so incestuous, like, and it always comes back to like power and then like follow the money.
Exactly. And that's what I say when I say that I don't care who's the head coach anymore. It's because whoever you're gonna hire, it's up to the federation. Le están cubriendo el ojo al ciego. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you're just doing the same thing over and over again to hope that there's a difference. That's not how life works. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result every time.
But the only result they care about is like they're gonna keep selling a crap ton of tickets, crap ton of merchandise,
exactly,
and driving ratings because we're suckers. Let's be honest. Okay, but okay, let's get into the tactical. Yeah, Cocca won 2 titles consecutively, but the strategy is criticized because that Atlas team, while it was really cool that it had a very strong Mexican base of players, and offensively, Furch was commanded a lot of headlines. Young Colombian Quiñones, who has never debuted for Colombia, but he's been in Mexico since I don't know how long now, 6-7 years, maybe he can nationalize them. But anyways, that team was known to like grind out wins and like sit back and absorb like a good amount and then counterpunch and stuff. And that's not Mexico's DNA. Like Mexico's DNA is to possess and like take it to teams offensively. It bites them. It comes back to bite them often, but
I, Tech, I'm okay with the Nacho. I'm okay with the defensive era of what he's trying to do. For the one reason that's like, again, they keep trying to take it to these teams and they still don't win. They're they're losing their formation, they're losing their poise because defensively they're not sound. Let's try it the other way. Let's try to try to make our defense really strong and see if
they
it
have a
works.
strong defense.
But they have no poise. Let's make everybody on the pitch defensively strong and try to see if that works. Because right now, what's happening? They win the first 45. The next 45, they let everything crumbles and then they lose 2-1 after being up 1-0 at the half.
Or like really giving, let's say, Argentina a tough game until Messi scores a golazo.
Exactly.
Right. And that was the only way that they were gonna give up a goal.
I don't just. Golazo. I'm okay with the defensive side of it, especially with the amount of speed Mexico has. The counterattack and speed is going to be okay. You got Santi, who can be your target man, go over the top, run. You saw that goal against Feyenoord, for Feyenoord a couple weeks ago. Amazing, gorgeous. Brought it down on a long ball. I'm okay with the strategy side of it. I'm not against.
So strategically, it's not necessarily doing the same thing. They may be going in a different direction.
And I'm perfectly fine. And because I think that's what Mexico needs. They need a strong foundation. And you said it's not in their DNA. I don't think Mexico has a DNA anymore. I think Mexico completely lost everything because I think they're soft. And I'll keep saying this. Like, they're soft, man. Like, and I'm not saying every Mexico player out there. Like, there was a generation.
That's a Gasolina take, man. Oh, my gosh.
Dude, no. Like, it's very true, though. Like, we don't want to admit it because it's a squad we love, and I love a lot of these players. Yeah. But Hector Herrera, right before the World Cup, going out and saying, the media's going to see. That's a soft take. You take it in the gut and you keep going. You're a professional athlete. The good athletes don't talk about the media. The good athletes prove the media wrong without saying stuff.
If we look at hard enough, plenty of good players around the world have been critical of the media at some point.
No, and they're, again, criticizing is one thing, but being offended by the media is another. You can be critical of the media, don't get me wrong, which you can, but being offended the way Hector Herrera was, that's very different. Like, there's two different sets of this.
Right.
It's not the same thing as LeBron saying, media's always around me, as Hector Herrera saying, I'm going to prove you wrong, media. There's very different, like...
Everybody has to find a source of, like...
motivation. And if the media's the source of your motivation, that makes you soft.
Okay.
That's a soft source of motivation. Your motivation should be wanting to be the best. Wanting to win.
Okay. So we were talking about wanting to be the best and wanting to win. What is the bar for Diego Cocca?
The bar is qualifying for.
Well, they're not playing qualifiers.
No, but they still have to qualify for Copa America. They have to They don't get automatically in.
They have to finish top whatever in Nations League.
Exactly. Like,
that's a pretty low bar, but you're right. I mean,
like that's
where we're at.
It's a low bar. Like,
that's where we're at.
That's what you have to do: qualify for Nations League and make it to the semifinals of Gold Cup. Those are your two bars that you got to clear, because this Gold Cup and
so if I was to tell you, for me, the bar should be win Nations League, win Gold Cup.
The bar's too high.
Too high?
Way too high.
Wow.
That's about 2 meters too high.
How far we've fallen.
And that's the fault of the Mexican Federation. I blame the players because they're soft, but it's not their doing. The Mexican Federation made them soft. The players if you look at it, the players that are good for the Mexican team are the players that aren't soft. The Santi Jimenez, the Luis Chavez, the Irving Lozanos, players that are pushing themselves to be out of their comfort zone. Alexis Vega was supposed to be the golden child of this World Cup, and he didn't do anything, but he doesn't like to push himself. He's like, why would I leave Mexico? That's not pushing yourself. Yeah. You don't want the competition. You don't want that extra effort. You just want a nice life, and you know what? Power to you. If that's what you want, do it. But don't come into my Mexican national team saying that, oh yeah, we're gonna fight for this. You're not fighting. Get the hell out of here. You're not part of this new generation. I don't care how much talent you have. If you don't have the mentality, you're not winning. That's what it is.
Wow, that was a Gasolina hot fire take, man.
It sucks, but they're soft, and I've been like grinding on this for a long. That's why it doesn't matter who you bring in as a head coach. It doesn't.
Bielsa wouldn't have made a difference.
No, because Bielsa is known to, like, whenever there's any resistance from the managers above him, he quits immediately. Then it always happens. It happened in
Leeds?
Chile. No,
As a
Chile's the one.
Chile.
Like he just leaves immediately. He doesn't like any resistance because he has a way of doing things. And the Mexican Federation likes having their manos a la masa. They like making their own tortillas, and then they're like, I don't want to cuss
I
because
mean, it's
it's a
the
family pod, but you can see what I'm gonna go with.
yeah, the federation, the media. I honestly feel like the Diego Cocca regime is gonna,
Short lived, in my opinion.
in my opinion, it might be because I could just see it like the media is gonna eat him up. Even though he's been coaching in Mexico, he knows what to expect, like what Mexican football culture is like, and had in the media. But man, it's still gonna be like under an even bigger microscope. They're gonna be looking for him to trip up wherever, right? And I'm sure that's what made you probably feel sorry for Tata when you realize like, man, it's a no-win situation for the Mexican national team coach,
Yeah, because
especially a foreigner. Although I'll say like
yeah,
Mexico's just kind of jumping on like the bandwagon of Argentine coaches. I read something like this makes Mexico like the ninth Latin American country with a Argentine coach. Man, that is.
the
I
thing,
get that they're the world champions, but man,
and that's the thing, man. The Mexican Federation is looking at the money in right now. They're looking at the benefit in short term. If you look at the benefits of investing in your infrastructure, investing in your coaches, investing in your own players, in 10 years, let's say you win a World Cup, make a semifinal. You know how much money you're going to be making as a federation? Because the the top 5 leagues are gonna head out there and try to buy these players. All you have to do is sell one player for a kind of cheaper, have him work out, and then your
I don't
market's set
know.
for the future. That's how the world. That's how football world works.
I know how that works, but right now, like even like Juarez could like scoop up so many players, say from the Argentine league, because and the Argentine league produced obviously the world champion. I mean, none of the guys necessarily played domestically, but like their clubs are struggling bad enough that they're happily sell their players to even like I said, even Juarez or whatever.
Exactly, but that's the problem. That's why I say you have to invest in your infrastructure now to pay off in the future. When you do an investment, it's not for like, oh, I'm gonna win $2 right now. If I put $2 in, I'm gonna win two. No, an investment's usually a long term thing. So if you make your national team strong, if you start sending players out to Europe and these players start creating and making names for themselves, that's how your league is actually going to make money because there's kickbacks, there's sell-on clauses whenever you sell a player. You're telling me if you sold Santi Jimenez for 5 million, 3 million, let's say, to Ajax, right? You sold him for 3 million to Ajax. 2 years down the road, they sell him for 30 million to Man City, to Manchester United. They sell Santi Jimenez. You got a 20% sell-on clause. You're gonna get 20% of that 30 million.
Right? No, I mean that's
And that's the problem that Mexican teams don't look at. They're looking at the right now. They're not looking at the future investment of their players
well again because
or
of the
themselves. Even.
because of the demands of the leagues. Like they need to produce right then. So if they're gonna give up a key piece, they need to see results right then.
But why is the demand now? If they had relegation, to ascenso y descenso, I would get it. I would be like, okay, that makes sense. But they don't even have that right now. There's no pressure of being relegated to the next league.
Yeah,
What's
but
your
there's also no
pressure?
benefit of like empty stands
But they're like
because they don't necessarily have the TV deals like other leagues do. Again, because the
Televisa.
right the guys at the top like they want to keep all that to themselves
So what
and
we're
they want to
getting,
keep it that way.
yeah. So we're getting to that Televisa is screwing up Mexico, and again, I'm okay with saying it. Televisa doesn't pay me. I don't care. Like, if pay my paychecks, and I'll say nice things about it. But you're not. But at the end of it, I still think that Liga MX should be trying to take a page out of the MLS's book. I know you're against it, but financially, they're way more stable. They help out their players more, and they're actually producing national team
Do
for
they
the
help their
U.S.
players?
They do.
This is a good segment. This is a good segment because I
I
want to
will get
talk
it.
about a
Yeah, you're
reason.
right.
I want to talk about a recent transfer that slipped up. Our guy Julian Araujo of the LA Galaxy was this close. This close. Like
18
he
seconds
was
away close.
all but set to go to Barca. Maybe Barca B, Barca Athletic, but either way, he was there. He was there.
With Rafa Marquez of
Who
all people.
who dropped the ball?
I
Was it MLS?
see. This is the thing. I don't know. I've heard a lot of
18 seconds.
reports.
Like we're not using fax machines anymore, bro. Like
You can send it like
why
even
do they wait to the last minute on these deals? I don't understand.
I honestly don't get it either. I think that was more of a Galaxy
I feel
screw
so
up.
bad for the kid.
Yeah, like mentally, what does that do with you, man?
What
Like
do you do?
you
You're
were
like
18 seconds away from being at a top 5 league and one of the top 10 clubs in the world.
they got like an 8-point cushion in La Liga right now. They're back to where, in my opinion, they belong. But we could leave that for another day.
Yeah, we're Barca people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're Barca people. I can tell.
Okay.
But again, like 8 points away with a Bellerin leaving, and there
Yeah.
might be a spot for
There
you
might be a
here and
spot.
there,
Yeah.
like in Copa del Rey or something.
Right.
And then at the end of it, it's like 18 seconds away. FIFA, we can't do this. Also, why FIFA caring about 18 seconds? Why does FIFA care about 18 seconds? It's 18 seconds. If it was an hour, I'm like, okay, I get it. That's an hour. It's like a long time. But 18 seconds, dude, come on, like.
But they could just as easily push back. Like, why did you wait till the last minute?
You could.
If you knew you wanted the player, then just get it done.
It's also money wise. Like you got to, especially with Barcelona that has a lot of financial problems. Like these negotiations could have been like, all right, let's do it. There's a minute left. We got to get this done. I just want this done now. I don't like in LA Galaxy, like we need the money. Let's just do it right now. And then at the end of it, it didn't go all the way through. Like that's my thing about that. That it's more like we don't know the intricacies. We might just never know. But my whole thing with this is I feel bad for the kid.
Absolutely.
Now he has to go play half a season because hopefully in the summer he gets that move. Now he has to play half a season with that pressure of maybe being a Barca player. Now his dreams.
If he didn't already have a target on his back, he does now.
Exactly.
How many guys are gonna be like, "Oh, this guy's Barca material. Let's go him.
Let's go at him. Like
I'll show him." And there's that, and then there's just, I mean, mentally, right? He was like, he was probably like his mind was in Spain already. Like, okay, all right, like this is happening.
Messaging already.
I mean, he came up through Barca's academy in Arizona.
Yep.
So like,
also great academy.
It's ingrained in him, right? And so I'm sure all those kids dream about getting their shot with the big team, and then for it to not happen, man, that is a tough one.
Especially because like this is where it becomes like, are Mexican players just cursed?
Like, I think so, because I'm also hearing that Luis Chavez to Feyenoord was close and didn't happen at the last minute. I'm like, why are these deals waiting till the last minute? I don't understand.
I mean, it hurts us the most because like we're a part of this, but I think it just happens around the world. Like these are all our players that it hurts, but it really does suck. Like it sucks really bad because you had two players that were gonna go to maybe top 10 leagues in the world, and Luis Chavez to Feyenoord to go play with
Santi Jimenez, who Feyenoord's first place in the Eredivisie right now. I mean, above Ajax and PSV, which is very impressive.
And another turn of it, Wesley Snyder of the Ajax, talking a lot of poo-poo about Edson Alvarez and
Jorge Sanchez.
I get the Jorge Sanchez hate. I don't understand the Edson Alvarez hate as much.
I mean, whatever. Edson Alvarez is still wanted by multiple Premier League teams.
Man U, Leeds, and Chelsea are still after him.
I think Newcastle's in there too. So.
As much as I hate him, give me Christian Pulisic and Edson Alvarez and Newcastle. That's the team to be right there.
The team to be, wow.
In my opinion, wow. Man City is going to be done for a while with that. With the
well, if they get
shambles, I don't believe in Man U, and Chelsea is kind of like struggling, and we have a producer back there really sad. Oh, Arsenal! I forgot. I'm an Arsenal guy too. So,
yeah, you pick a team, man. You can't just
jump
around.
I don't follow the Premier League as closely as other people. I just like watching good football.
Yeah. Okay, so talking about again, we're talking about Mexican players in Europe, and didn't happen for Araujo. We just mentioned
Luis
Chavez. Didn't happen for Luis Chavez, but I mean, yeah, Edson Alvarez. He's a focal point at Ajax. Jorge Sanchez still fighting his ground at Ajax, but yeah, Santi Jimenez, he's a starter now. Feyenoord, they're on pace to win the Eredivisie,
and he's a big reason why. Like he gives them that punch at the end of every game when he was a super sub.
Yeah. So that's awesome. Another player whose team is poised to win their league is Chucky Lozano with Napoli,
and he's a starter in that squad too.
About to break a long streak without it. So that's awesome. I wish we had guys up higher in the Premier League, right?
But this is where I'm getting at. Like, I know I'm harping on this a lot, but the soft part. You see Orbelin Pineda, it's not even in the top 5 league.
And he's like
killing
it for AEK Athens.
Exactly. And
I think they're leaders of that league as well.
They have the mentality. Hector, fuck, not Hector. What's his name? Cesar Montes. Sorry,
Ah,
because they both went to Español, so like in my head I'm thinking
yes.
Hector Moreno, but Cesar Montes also like out there pushing for
Had
his
to
spot.
force his way. Had to force his way out of Monterrey.
Exactly. Those are the players that you want on the team because they have the right mentality. It's not about being in Europe. It's about looking for the higher competition, which is what bothers me about a lot of these teams. Like even I, like as much as I like them less, if like Pizarro decided to go Miami instead of like try to go to Europe, that pissed me off.
Oh, 100%.
Like, why are you trying? Like, don't
Unfortunately,
chase the
yeah.
bag. Like, they're chasing the bag, which I get you want money, but you're making enough money to live comfortably. Push yourself to go to a top 5, 10 league in the world out in Europe and be better. That's why at least I'm like, I don't get the Jorge Sanchez. I get the Jorge Sanchez hate, but at least he's pushing himself. He's trying.
Right.
He's not out there like, oh, I deserve minutes. No, he's putting it. You don't hear from him. You don't hear all this
No, on
media
a team
talk.
like Ajax, you can't go out and pout about it. You just gotta
Exactly. But Diego Lainez
perform.
was. You could hear the reports in Mexico. Lainez is unhappy. Lainez wants out. Lainez wants more minutes. The thing is, you're in a top 5. Work. Get to work. You're a golden child where you're from. Nobody knows who you are when you get there.
Right.
And that's my issue. And this is why I love the group of the group of players that are in Europe for Mexico right now, because you have players that are fighting, that want to be there, that don't want to leave the ranks of the higher competition. You have the Jordan Carrillos who's fighting for his spot. You know, if you bring him to to the Americas, he's gonna be a starter wherever he goes,
Right.
in a first division team.
Right.
Instead, he'd rather be in a second division team, fighting for his starting job, trying to help his team go to the first division.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what I like. Mexico doesn't have enough dogs. They
They
don't,
don't got
have
that dog in them.
They don't have that dog in them,
Wow.
man. They don't got. It's all bark, no bite.
Oh.
And it sucks, man. Because there's the team I would die for. I would die for this team more than any team in the world.
I mean, you already said you'd give up a limb.
That's how much I
For
love
them
this
to win
team,
a World
and
Cup.
I keep that. Like, I would give up a limb for a World Cup. Like, once Mexico wins the World Cup, if they ever do in my lifetime, my life's over. There's nothing for me to look forward to in the sports world. Like, it sounds dumb, but it's true.
That goes for a lot of us.
And like,
I think
once
so.
that happens, I reach the pinnacle of excitement. Everything else is gonna be second place to that. Sorry, wife. Sorry, future child. I love you guys. I promise. It's just in my sports mentality. Like, that's I completed life.
in my sports mentality.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm done with life at that point when it comes to sports. Like, there's no need for me to follow any other team in the world.
No, I could see that. I wish there was way more players in Europe we could talk about. I mean, there's still Raúl Jimenez is still getting minutes here and there with Wolves,
Which he might be out of Wolves soon.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Did you hear about that? I think it was the Leeds. Beckerham, I think it was his name. The Leeds player, that Beckerham, that accidentally showed up as the dual national for Mexico that one time. He was in the golden boy conversation last year. Did you hear about that or no?
No, I mean, we were talking about accidentally fielding a dual national. It gives me like salty thoughts about Sendejas, man. Like they really screwed that one up.
That's another thing.
Yeah.
You were like that. Oh man, like you make me so upset, man. But like, no,
I don't
like,
think you need my help with that. You're pretty
dude,
fiery
I'm
today.
wound up because I love this team. Passion breeds anger. Like, it doesn't breed anything but anger, honestly. Because they'll never do good enough until they win, and that's the truth about any sports fan.
Even a Copa America?
No, Copa America doesn't matter to me. I don't care about these second level wins anymore. I just don't. Like, I want a World Cup,
You did mention earlier that Copa America is they're not a shoe-in for it.
which I'm happy.
Yeah, but I mean, but they still are. I mean, if they can't beat whoever to advance in Nations League, then yeah, they don't deserve to be there anyways. But
Exactly. That's why I'm like, screw them. Like, if they don't make good, like, that's, you earned it. You earned not to be there.
right, but I mean, man, looking forward to that because it's a home tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's in the U.S., but it's really in Mexico.
all their games will be at home.
The people do call the U.S. Mexico's backyard. I've heard that quite a bit.
No. Yeah, somos locales. We're the home team.
I mean, but we're locals wherever we go.
At any game in the U.S. So,
I mean,
that's
Qatar
part of
too, literally.
Qatar. Yeah, right. A lot of Mexicans went to Qatar, but like so like this new strategic partnership with CONMEBOL and CONCACAF. involves Copa America in
Mm-hmm.
24, but also like on the club level too.
Yeah,
There'll be some sort of post CONCACAF Champions League / Libertadores like Final Four.
which I like. I'm all for.
I mean, I still wanted Mexican teams in actual Libertadores, but I guess if you
Baby
can't get
steps.
that, like this is still up there too.
I mean, eventually, I think they'll get there. Like, eventually, they'll start. I think they'll make a super league that can rival the Champions League. Maybe not talent wise,
Oh man, but
but fun wise,
the travel would be killer. Like you can't go Toronto to Buenos Aires. Like
you can. It just needs to be planned out better. I looked into this hardcore
you
already.
studied it
Yeah,
like a
I did
grad
really
student.
study it. Like, it would have to be like it would have to be by a region, and then go into like the knockout phases. Then you can go into like bigger flights and stuff like that. And then you can you can start reseeding and stuff like that. It works. It does work. It's kind of complicated and convoluted. I won't go into.
I don't even think it's
Yeah.
complicated. I mean, it's straightforward, but it's
Yeah.
a lot. The travel would be tough.
I
on
still
those
think it's
guys.
possible for sure.
But I mean, Mexico made it work for however long they did, and usually had teams in the advancing semis and a couple times beyond, a couple times in the finals of Libertadores. So they could do it. They could make it work. It's just
Yeah,
it's tough.
for sure. And then also the Gold Cup is becoming a little mini World Cup.
The
Did you see
Gold
that?
Cup will be. I mean, there was this tournament once upon a time. I say like in past, like super past tense, but the Confederations Cup
Yeah, the
would
one that
be
Mexico won
would be right
in
99.
'99.
Yeah, but the Confederations would be the year before the World Cup at the host country, and it's more or less a test run for the World Cup.
Well, that's
And
kind of what this is, but
that's
just because
exactly what this is.
there's no Confederations Cup anymore, they're just like, we're gonna make our own little one in the Gold Cup, and it's gonna work out great, and we're gonna have a lot of fun and make a lot of money.
Because there will be like 2 representatives of almost every confederation. I think I
Every
read.
confederation, there's gonna be 2 UEFA, 2 CONMEBOL, 2 I don't know the Asian one,
CAF.
CAF. There's gonna be 2.
No,
No,
wait,
that's
that's
the
the
African.
African.
That's the African. There's gonna be two
But
of
the
everyone.
Asian Confederation.
Yeah, there's
too,
gonna
right?
even
Yeah.
Qatar. I think is gonna be there again.
I mean, maybe from the Asian Confederation. I don't know if they're automatic, and I don't know if Oceania, but maybe
Yeah.
they'll invite New Zealand.
I think. Oh, I actually think they are. They get one. New
Okay.
Zealand or Australia.
No,
I think
well, Australia moved to the Asian
that's
Confederation, but so it's really just New Zealand is the only
But yeah, it's gonna be literally a mini World Cup for everybody,
right.
which is
Right.
kind of nice. I like it, man.
It'll be
More
cool.
fun.
It'll be cool. I actually had hoped that tournament would have been non-World Cup cities just to build more excitement throughout the country.
You also wanted one in Denver.
But yeah, right. They would have put one in. But it looks like they're gonna test run the World Cup host sites, and not that it needs to. Like these stadiums already host.
It's gonna be
NFL
really
games and-
sad for Mexico and the U.S. when you see Brazil or Argentina holding up that trophy, your own trophy.
Or it could be a UEFA team too. but-
It's gonna be disappointing.
right.
It's gonna suck.
Yeah. Interesting that UEFA teams are gonna come play. I mean, Germany is already locked in games in the fall of 23.
But it's gonna be in the summer.
Oh.
Yeah, the Gold Cup's always in the summer.
So not the Gold Cup. I'm talking about friendlies. Like
Oh,
Germany's
oh,
gonna
oh.
come play friendlies.
Yeah.
It's the U.S. and Mexico in the U.S. obviously in the fall of 23. We'll see if other UEFA teams follow suit. Like it's like, hey, the World Cup's gonna be there. Maybe we should go play some friendlies there before.
Yeah,
Get a
your
little
name out,
acclimated,
branding.
Well, it's not like Germany needs to more branding. Like,
But trust me, it helps them brand,
Sure.
especially for the non-soccer fans that are
Sure.
like, "Oh, Germany's coming, let's go watch them play." And for the U.S. fans, it's like, "Oh yeah, we get to see Germany." It's branding, man. Like,
Yeah.
maybe not for us because we're soccer fans, but there's people out there that aren't, and they hear
Okay.
and that's branding for them. Like, oh, if the U.S. gets knocked out, which team am I gonna? I saw them play one time. I want to follow them.
there you go. Yeah,
That's the branding I'm talking about. Not
I
like
gotcha.
actual get your name out. Like,
I gotcha.
you know what I mean?
Yes,
You're trying to reach other fans. That's what it's for.
that's it, man.
So it works. I'm probably gonna go to one. Mexico,
Yeah, I'll
US.
go check it out. I'd love to see Mexico play Germany somewhere in the U.S.
Again.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it live once,
Yeah.
but it was in Moscow. But
The greatest Mexico win of all time,
it
probably.
was pretty cool, man.
That's not a championship win.
Yeah, no,
I think that might be the best one.
probably. I mean, lots of good memories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of memories, do you want to get into some 5-a-sides of all time Mexico players?
I'm actually really excited. So how this is gonna work? We're gonna do a snake draft. You want to go first? Or do you want me to go first? We should have probably decided this before going
We
live.
should have, but I'll let you. I'll let you. I could
Okay.
be reactive to your first pick.
So how this is gonna work? I'm gonna go first. Then Luis is gonna go back to back. Then
Yes.
I'm gonna go back to back, and it's gonna go until we have a five-a-side, snake draft style. The rules are: you need a goalie, two defenders, a midfielder, and an attacker. Attack wingers can go either a midfielder
Ooh.
or attacker, in my
Okay.
opinion, because they play slow all over the place. So if we're ready, you ready to go?
Yes.
My first pick is Rafa Marquez.
Damn
And I'm so glad, like, that's the one player I wanted in my life, Rafa Marquez. Now you get to go back to back.
I know.
so-
I got to go back to back. So, well, you may have the best defender of all time, but I got to go with the best offensive player of all time, and I'm not taking into consideration. It's more of his club career, but I need goals. And on a five-a-side, I think he could get behind some defenders. So I guess I'll take Hugo Sanchez.
That's not a bad pick at all.
It's not a bad pick.
That was my other one that I was like, who am I going to take? But I knew you would have taken Rafa Marquez quicker than I would.
I would have, yeah, because in a five-a-side, I probably need a defender with some good ball skills, passing and whatnot. But I'm going to take a defender that I think is the most well-rounded Mexico's ever had. And there's a reason he earned his nickname, El Emperador, the Emperor. And I'm going Claudio Suarez, just because the dude was just like solid back there. Like, never had to worry about much of anything with him back there. So, me showing my age, and I'm more old school. I'm taking two older.
That's
players.
what I was gonna say. Like, you can really tell we're different generations. You know, like Claudio Suarez wasn't even on my list. You could have waited till the last pick.
You're like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm like, Seiko, cool, man. Like, I love, like, I know who he is, but it's like that wasn't in my top list. For me, my next pick. This is really hard, but if it's a five-a-side, you're playing futsal. It's more inside kind of style. I'm gonna take Tecatito as my midfielder.
Ooh.
He plays like a Brazilian. He's a
break
Brazilian.
some ankles.
Yep. So I'm like, that might be the guy to go on a five-a-side squad. I think that might be like the choice.
I see him and I think back to like old Nike commercials of like I don't know, them playing I think it was like three-a-sides in a cage. It was like the scorpion.
Yeah, literally. And with my next pick, because I get to go back to back,
You gotta go back to back.
I'm gonna take Jorge Campos. Great with the feet.
Oh,
and
I
he
was
needs to
holding
go
that
play.
one. I was holding that in my back pocket, man.
I'm like, yeah, dude, like he's the perfect goalie for a five-a-side. He's
Ooh.
an attacker and like he has the ball skills to play at five-a-side.
But he's a goalie. He's
But
like
he's
an
a goalie. You'll
all-time.
play him.
He's
You'll
an
play him in the
all-time
back.
great goalie.
He was ranked number 3 like in '98 in the world.
I mean, he was. Yeah.
I think he reached number 1 in like '99.
I don't know, but
or
at his
something like
pinnacle,
that.
he was well regarded. But everybody knew he was also willing to go with the ball and be a field player, and give his team kind of that.
Especially because
advantage.
it is like a smaller net, a smaller
Smaller
goal. He's smaller.
Yeah.
It works out perfectly. Give me. I think that's the pick to go with. So
Okay.
right now, who do I have? Tecatito, Rafa Marquez,
and Campos.
and Campos.
So you have 3. I have 2. But I mean, I don't have to pick a goalie because you can't.
I can't.
pick
Yeah,
another
like
one.
you're
You already picked your
and
goalie.
midfielder too. You got the literal like.
Well, I
whoever you
got a
want
full.
midfielder.
Yeah, exactly. I need to get another defender and a midfielder. And okay, if we're talking about ankle breaking midfielders, I'm probably gonna have to go with. And again, I'll probably be showing my age, but there's a Arellano.
Oh, okay.
He's like one of those like mythical players that people, when they look back fondly, like, oh man, I remember Cabrita Arellano. He used to break some ankles, man, and so I mean that's kind of my counter to your Tecatito is I'm going with Arellano, and another defender. You know what? When he's healthy, he's been solid. And he actually played in this last World Cup even. Very great veteran presence, but I'll take Moreno. I'll take Hector Moreno. The guy's been solid all the way back to being a world champion at the U17 World Cup in 05.
Dude, you gave me some stuff to think about. Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I need a striker and a defender, and I'm done. Then you get to pick your goalie.
Yeah.
With striker, Since you don't need, I'm gonna let you know some names. So you don't need to decide for me. But I'm even thinking Chicharito or Carlos Vela, because those two dudes know how to play with the ball. They're really good with the ball at their feet. Santi Jimenez,
Chicharito's good with the ball at his feet?
yeah, he is really good at the ball with his feet.
No,
Like he can run.
Chicharito's strength is off the ball.
It
He
is,
somehow finds himself behind. Defenders
True.
lose him.
but he's also not like he needs to head it in for it to be effective. Like if I went with Jared Borghetti, I can't really take he's a header master. That's not gonna work on a 5-a-side. Chicharito can move around and get the ball at he's the most opportunistic player to have at a 5-a-side. Because all the rebounds, all the things that are going on, he's gonna be in the right spot
with his feet or his face. One of the two. It's gonna go
true.
in.
That's why
it's gonna
he's
go
good.
in.
He's good with the ball at his feet, and he's good at movement, which is something you need at a
Okay.
5-a-side. Carlos Vela is another kind of like the Catito style, like a little bit like he can juke you out a little bit. He's great at this one little like push it to the right move that nobody can seem to figure out. So, but the more I think of it, I think I'm gonna go Chicharito because of the opportunistic things that he has with him. And I'm guessing you're gonna go with you need a goalie, so
you still need another defender.
But I'm guessing I think Chicharito can get it past Guillermo and Osvaldo Sanchez, which I think are your two last names.
How do you know I wasn't gonna go Conejo?
Because you're not that dumb. But for defender, this is where it gets really complicated for me because I have the strong defender presence. I want somebody that can kind of run a little bit more in that defensive style. And I'm thinking between it's going to hurt me 2 America players. And it's going to be either Miguel Ayun or Paulo Aguilar. Because they're the most offensive wingbacks I've ever seen in my life.
I saw Paulo Aguilar score a golazo in the Rose Bowl in 2015.
Dude, yeah, to qualify for the Confederations Cup that no longer exists.
And no longer exists. Partidazo.
But I think I'm going to go Miguel Ayun. I love Layun. I was a big fan of his.
Yeah, old 2 lungs, 5 lungs Layun.
Exactly. Put him to the left. Keep Rafa on the right, and let them cook him defensively. He's okay defensively, but it's a 5-a-side. Who cares? Like, there's gonna be 20 goals in each way.
No, there's not gonna be 20 goals when I take Guillermo Ochoa as the goalie. The guy's a brick wall.
That's why he has the most goals against him in a Serie A league.
Well, when you got the Salernitana defense in front of you, like that is one player we didn't talk about when we talk about players in Europe for whatever reason. But anyways, yeah, poor guy, man. It's like, but he's he took the chance, and that's he has that dog in him.
He does have dog in him. But at what point is the dog too old to bark? Like, that's the issue.
Again, he can't stop them all, dude. Especially, like I said, that Salernitana defense in front of him. Like,
Torino is not a great team either.
Yeah.
But I also do love how you said he's taking the chance to go out there and play.
He's taking the chance, and that's all we can ask. I mean, we want these guys to want it as much as we do, and that involves them taking risks.
That's going out of your comfort zone at that age. It's kind of insane,
right?
Especially when you're at home and you don't got nothing to do.
I mean,
he could have retired easily.
He could have easily retired.
And been at his home place, not move, at the house he's been living at for 10 years. He could have been fine. And he decided, I'm gonna go try it out. Which I do give him credit for that.
I gotta give him credit.
I give him a lot of credit for that. Let us know down in the comments who won. I think I won. I think I'm gonna demolish him on a 5-a-side. So I don't know. Let us know, I guess.
I think I got a pretty solid foundation. I think you're underestimating what some of these old guys were like back when they were there. So
tune in next time when we go to when we play FIFA and try to decide who's actually better at this.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I'm not the best on the sticks, but
we'll simulate it. It's fine.
Yeah. We'll let it go. All right, Yahir. Well, it's a pretty good show.
I thought it was a fun show. I was really angry most of the time.
You got pretty angry, man. So, yeah, tell us in the comments what you guys think of some of Yahir's takes. I don't know. I don't know if I gave as many hot takes. But definitely we love interacting. So, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thank you all for tuning in. Talking in 3.
Adios, amigos.